In 1968, inside the laboratories of 3M, a research chemist named Dr. Spencer Silver was handed a high-stakes directive. His goal was to develop a new, heavy-duty adhesive with unprecedented holding power. The intended applications were aircraft construction and heavy manufacturing. Holding a massive jet engine together requires a bond capable of surviving extreme industrial pressure. Silver mixed his chemical compounds, aiming for a bond that could rival steel rivets. Instead, he ended up with a peculiar substance that barely adhered to anything. You could stick two surfaces together, and they would peel apart with minimal effort, leaving no residue behind. In an environment where scientific success was measured by holding power, this weak glue isolated Silver from his peers. For years, he pitched his creation to colleagues, but nobody could find a practical application. It remained a solution waiting for a problem. The reason for this bond's failure came down to the physical structure of the polymer itself. Silver's mixture had formed what chemists call microspheres. Normal adhesives lay flat, maximizing their surface contact with an object to form a tight, unyielding grip. But Silver's creation was made of tiny, elastic, spherical bubbles. Because they are round, they only make minimal, tangent contact with any surface they touch. This structure gives the adhesive a moderate amount of shear strength. If you apply a force parallel to the surface, like gravity pulling an object straight down a wall, the elastic microspheres flatten slightly and resist sliding. However, the adhesive has extremely low peel strength. If you apply a force perpendicular to the surface by pulling it straight out, those tiny spheres easily pop right off without damaging the material underneath. If your objective is to build airplanes, a glue that pops off with a slight tug is a total failure. 6 years later, in 1974, another 3M scientist named Arthur Fry was singing in his church choir. Every Wednesday night, he used small scraps of paper to mark the hymns in his book. By Sunday, the scraps would routinely fall out, causing him to lose his place. Curious, realizing Fry remembered a seminar he had attended about Silver's unusual adhesive. He realized the property making the glue terrible for aerospace, its low peel strength, was the precise requirement for a bookmark that wouldn't rip pages. When coated onto paper, the microspheres utilize van der Waals forces, weak intermolecular attractions between the polymers and the surface. They act like a reversible magnetic grip, holding the note firmly but yielding easily before fragile paper fibers tear. Writing messages on these prototypes and passing them between departments created a unique, informal way to communicate across the office. The chemical formula remained exactly the same as the day it was dismissed as a failure. The only thing that changed was the environment in which it was applied. Bringing this concept to the public proved difficult. When 3M test-marketed the product in 1977 under the name Press and Peel, it flopped. Consumers could not grasp the utility of a reusable sticky note just by looking at a box or hearing a description. The following year, 3M executives traveled to Boise, Idaho, for a massive sampling effort known as the Boise Blitz. They forced office workers to physically interact with the notes, peeling and resticking them onto their own desks. Once workers experienced the tactile action themselves, 90% of them said they would buy it. During development, the team needed paper for their prototypes. The laboratory next door happened to have an abundance of pale yellow scrap paper. They used it purely out of convenience. User interaction and laboratory happenstance defined the final identity of the product, proving that pure happenstance can often override perfect planning. Today, that failed aerospace glue is a cornerstone of modern organizational workflows. Software development and project management rely heavily on agile and Kanban systems, where these small yellow squares track tasks across complex production pipelines. They even became cultural touchstones, appearing in films like Romy and Michelle's High School Reunion, where the main characters claim they invented the product to impress their former classmates. The history of this little yellow square illustrates a crucial reality in both science and business. A failed experiment rarely means the end of the line. It simply yields new data, waiting to be interpreted in the correct context. Dr. Silver's formula was rejected because it couldn't hold an airplane together. Yet that exact lack of strength is what allows us to organize our thoughts without destroying the pages we write them on. A perceived weakness is often just a strength that hasn't found its proper application yet. Have you ever taken a failure and repurposed it into a success? Share your own posted moments in the comments below. And if you want more stories about how the modern world actually works, make sure to stick around, like, and subscribe.